From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Louie B.
Yes, it is Ticats Today for a Thursday, October the 28th, 2021. And it's your digital host, Louie B. Thanks for checking us out on the Ticats Audio Network. If you found us by accident, well, thank you. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you found us, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout. Maybe you just said, hey, Siri, play Ticats Audio Network. But whatever you did to find us here today, why don't you go ahead and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode of this show or any of the other great shows we have for you here, including today, brand new episode. The Ticats this week. RJ Broadhead, Luke Tasker get you set for tomorrow night's game. They'll have the call, but they'll get you set with that show. And then brand new episode of Task and Twos. Episode 12 dropped today. Those guys talking about tomorrow's game as well, but they also tell some great stories about their playing days, including, I didn't know this, but apparently Andy Fantuz is a huge Halloween guy. Was not aware of that. Apparently was the guy who always threw the parties. So they go into that, some of their favorite costumes from Halloween as well. So go check that out wherever you found this on the Ticats Audio Network. All right, coming up on today's show, we're going to be joined by Dustin Nielson from the CFL on TSN. He'll have the call of tomorrow night's game, so we'll get his thoughts on what he's expecting to see. We're also going to hear from Chris Van Zeyl in just a little bit. We had a chance to catch up with him earlier this week. He is, of course, still in the lineup, which is always great to see, but Chris Van Zeyl, our player audio today, which we'll get to in just a second. I did want to let you know that if you are tuning into the game tomorrow, make sure to tune in to Tiger Cats postgame. Because if you tune into Tiger Cats postgame, you might be like Sam Quinn of London. Because Sam Quinn of London was the lucky winner of a pair of gold seats to see the Ticats host the BC Lions next week. So congratulations, Sam. They were listening. They heard the key word that we told you in Tiger Cats postgame. And they get a pair of tickets to go see the Ticats. So be listening tomorrow for Tiger Cats pregame. And then after the game for Tiger Cats postgame. All right, let's take a look at this Ticats starting lineup, the depth chart released today by the team. And I do want to start with some pretty unfortunate news, and that is that Braylon Addison is on the 6-game injured list. So a huge loss for the Ticats is Braylon Addison, who suffered a hamstring injury last week, now on the 6-game injured list. Let's take a look at the starting lineup on offense, and let's start with the offensive line. At left tackle, it's Travis Vornkall making his second straight start at that spot. Brandon Revenberg makes his 11th straight appearance at left guard. Darius Sirocco listed as the starter. He's a game-time decision for the Cats. It'll be John Yarborough backing him up if Sirocco's unable to go. Coulter Woodmansey starting at the right guard spot, and Chris Van Zeyl, who we'll hear from in just a second, starting at right tackle. Out wide for the receivers, you got Stephen Dunbar Jr. and David Ungerer III making his way back into the starting lineup. At slot, you got Jalen Ackland, Speedy B, and Tim White from left to right. Up the middle, Jeremiah Masoli starting at quarterback for the Ticats for a 4th straight game. Don Jackson making his first start as a member of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He's listed as the starting running back. Nikola Kalinic listed as the fullback and tight end. That's how the Ticats will line up on offense. Taking a look at defense, no changes. No changes to the starting lineup that we saw last week in a dominating win over the Ottawa Red Blacks. So up front, you got Jagarrett Davis, Ted Laurent, Dylan Wynn, and Julian Hauser. Hauser is a game-time decision, though, and Molden the fourth backing him up. Simone Lawrence, Jovan Santos, Knox, Cameron Kelly up the middle for the 11th straight game. And then in the secondary, you got Desmond Lawrence and Roll at the corner. Carriel Brooks, the league's leading interception leader, and Ciante Evans at half, and Tunde Adeleke, the starting free safety. And handling the special teams duties, Taylor Bertolette will be kicking the ball. Joel Whitford will be punting the ball. Gordon White will be snapping the ball, and Brandon Banks will be handling the kick return and punt return duties. That's how the Ticats will line up against the Elks tomorrow night. And as mentioned, we'll have that game for you here. 9:45 the call, 8:45 pregame with Andy Fantuz and I on Tiger Cats pregame presented by Active Green and Ross. All right, Dustin Nielson coming up still on today's show, but right now let's hear from Chris Van Zeyl. Had a chance to catch up with him after practice, and lots of good stuff here from Chris, talking about Jeremiah Masoli, talking about Coulter Woodmansey, but we started off talking about kind of all the changes they've had on offensive line. For Travis Vorncall to come in there, for John Yarborough to come in there, and for them to have such a great game on Friday, here's what he had to say to that.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks in great part to their level of preparation. Yeah, I think they did an incredible job. They stepped up, and I mean, through this whole organization, we have a next man up philosophy. So, yeah, for those guys to be able to plug in and play at the level they did, I think it's the tip of the cap to them. Yeah, tip of the cap to really everybody, the coaches as well, for getting them ready and preparing them as well. Everything you expect from the quality person that he is. I mean, level of preparation and attention to detail. It's when Jeremiah steps on the field, doesn't matter if he was 1A or 1B, he was always focused and locked in and cool, calm, collected in the pocket and just focused on executing. So not really any surprise. I don't think it would be any surprise to anybody on our offense that he's kind of taken off the way he has. Yeah, it's exciting to watch him play at this level, and we're along for the ride. Well, you stay healthy. Continuity and having guys that play beside each other and you can trust the guy next to you, that's the next level. And I mean, we're getting there, but I think we're still getting there. So it's guys are starting to get healthy. Guys are coming back from injury, and now it's just games played together. I mean, you look around the league, and the teams that are successful are the ones that have guys that they have the best continuity on either the offensive line or the receiving core, or quarterback. I mean, that's the way this league is, and it's a battle of attrition. And I mean, getting healthy at the right time is huge too. You have a team that gets healthy at the right time and gets on a roll. And I mean, that's I've been on 2 Grey Cup teams where that's happened. So you kind of see it. Well, with Coulter, you see, you kind of see everything through the eyes of a younger player. It's, I think the shock and awe of the CFL is kind of worn off, and he's starting to settle in, and the game's starting to slow down a little bit for him. I mean, this league's fast, and the players in it are fast. So it's learning how to set and stay in front of guys, and learning when you have to go further, not go as far, and where your eyes need to be, and those type of things. I think he's done an incredible job preparing himself and being ready. He's telling me stuff in the huddle and whatnot, and when we get personnel. So it's sometimes it's fun having him beside you, because you're seeing everything kind of the way I did when I first came into the CFL, and it's, I don't know, it's like being at home with my kid and seeing everything and seeing the joy and everything. Like, for the first time, everything is beautiful. Everything is cool. And for him, it's fun watching him enjoy playing the game. So in short, it's really enjoyable playing beside him. And I'm really excited to watch him grow.
That is Chris Van Zeyl, of course, the longtime veteran of the Canadian Football League, and just loved that quote about Coulter Woodmansey, comparing him to his kids at home. Just awesome. And Coulter Woodmansey, of course, looked up to Chris Van Zeyl, back in the day. So just a great story there at the right side of that offensive line. And they'll have a tough test against the Edmonton Elks defense going into this one, trying to protect Jeremiah Masoli. All right, let's get to my guest today, and very pleased to be joined by the play-by-play voice on CFL on TSN, the man who will have the call on TSN tomorrow night. He's also one half of the Dustin Nielson show on TSN 1290 in Edmonton, conveniently named Dustin Nielson, who's with us now. And Dustin, I want to get right into it, because you got the call of tomorrow night's game, which means you got the depth chart in front of you. This Ticats team, as it is constructed, this Ticats team we'll see on Friday, are they good enough to go to the Grey Cup again this year?
Oh, man, that's a good question. You really have the heavy hitters, don't you? That's a huge question right off the top. I think it all comes down to the, you might think this sounds crazy, but I think it all comes down to the offense because their defense is so good and it's going to continue to be good. I mean, this is a defense that if it wasn't for Winnipeg doing what they're doing and, the record-setting defensive season that they're having, I think we'd all be talking about the Ticats defense. So obviously, up on that defensive front, they've got star power in the linebacking core, but up that defensive front, those guys put a lot of pressure on opposing teams' quarterbacks. So, their defense is championship caliber, in my opinion. So to me, it comes down to what they can do offensively. And I would think from afar, and I did a Ticats game earlier in the season, and then mostly I've just been out west for most of the year. So I'm very excited to get another look here at the Ticats. And I feel like, chatting a little bit with some people around the team this week, feel like injuries have kind of derailed any consistency that their offense could get going. But is this an offense that, if it clicks down the stretch, can take you back to a Grey Cup 100%? I mean, you've seen Mazzoli in the last 2 games. I mean, he's looked good. His last game, what was he, 25 of 28? He was excellent in that last game. So I think you might need just some more time for this offense to get rolling with Mazzoli continuing to put up some of these big games that he's had as of late. So obviously, I mean, they were my Grey Cup pick at the beginning of the year. I thought the Ticats, would be there. I'm not going to say they're not just yet because I think they have a championship caliber defense and still time for an offense to get clicking.
Does Jeremiah Masoli get the respect he deserves in league circles? Has he proven himself to be a great quarterback, not quite elite, but maybe on the cusp? Does he get the respect he deserves, though?
Yeah, I think he does, because at the beginning of the year, I saw him picked by many to be the MOP. And, with the way that this season's gone, maybe a lot of us forget that. But at the beginning of the year, a lot of places where you looked, Ticats expected to win it all, and Mazzoli to be the most outstanding player in the league. So I think because of that, you can say that he does get the respect he deserves. But when you have a season like you've had so far, not a great start, injured, obviously, I think a lot of people, especially in the Canadian Football League, we just forget a lot quickly. It's like all of a sudden, okay, well, he's there now. Mazzoli, he's been hurt. He's not the player that he once was. Well, I think he's proven the last couple of years that this is the guy that we expected coming out of, what we did see from him in 2019 in what we expected to be a pretty good Ticats offense. That player is still there. And I think it's just a matter of you getting comfortable again and realizing that, being healthy is something that he's still capable of doing, as being one of the best quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League. So, yeah, I view him as one of the top guys in the league. So I think that's still there.
And I think it's very rare for quarterbacks, and everybody's looking for the next hot thing or the next great thing. But if you look back at the Grey Cup winning quarterbacks of the last 5-6 years, it's like Henry Burris, Ricky Ray. I mean, Bo Levi Mitchell, even Zach Caleros, right? I mean, Chris Trevler was obviously a huge part of that Bombers team. But I mean, it seems like because Massoli's been around for so long and really, go back to Edmonton. I asked him, do you feel weird going back to Edmonton even after all these years? And he says, yeah, it's where I started. There's always a special place. But yeah, I think people, anyway, I'm going on my classic Massoli rant, as I tend to do here on Ticats today.
But you know what? It's an interesting, just quickly, because you make a good point with Caleros, because I mean, he mentioned, I was doing a Zoom call with him a couple weeks ago, and he goes, I'm at the age now that Ricky Ray was at when I came into the league. He goes, and his career has been ups and downs, playing well, not playing well, injured, not injured. But this is a guy who has lost 1 game since taking over as the starting quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So Caleros, I mean, I think that's, of all the names you dropped, I think that's kind of that one where you go, yeah, man, like that guy's been around this league for almost 10 years and he just got one.
Yeah, and well, it's funny because, sticking on that point, with people talking about, well, Jeremiah Masoli, people had him as the MOP. People were also saying about Zach Caleros, well, he's 1 hit away from everything going downhill. And he's proven, he's silenced his doubters. I'm sure Jeremiah will continue to do so as well.
With that being said, he never gets hit. The Bombers offensive line does not allow him to get hit.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. Let's talk about this Elks team because I don't know what's going on there. Jamie Elizondo saying all the right things. We got 2 missions. We got 5 targets in that first one. It is an uphill battle. What do you think Jamie Elizondo's hoping to see in these final 5 games, including a stretch of 3 games in 7 days or whatever it is to finish off the season?
I think it's 5 over the next 22, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
I think he just wants to see a team that still cares. The team knows and chatting with them earlier this week as well. I mean, they're looking at tiebreaker scenarios and being like, if we win out, if we can win the next 5 and get to 500, we would have to beat these 2 teams along the way, and this team plays that team, and we could take the tiebreaker from them. So, like, they're still showing us at least that they believe there's still a way there. It would take a lot of help, and it would take some really good football. So I think if you're Jamie Elizondo, you want to see a team coming off a bye week here, knowing what they have to get through. You want to see who you want back next year. Like, who is going to still bring it down the stretch when it is unlikely that you will make the postseason. I think you can learn a lot. And, hey, I would think that Elizondo's back next year, but, I mean, who knows what happens with management overall. So, I mean, you could see sweeping changes here. I would tend to think that won't be the case. But yeah, I think he just wants to see who's still coming to play over these last few games. And, he really likes Taylor Cornelius, so he's going to want to see Cornelius have some success. I think they're going to get Arbuckle some games. I mean, when you play 3 games in 7 days, I mean, I think you're probably going to find some time for Arbuckle in there as well. So they'll have a chance to evaluate the quarterbacks a little bit. And you know what? I understand why they are frustrated, because they've taken the Bombers. They've played the Bombers maybe better than anybody has outside of Toronto, who beat them. They were leading the Bombers in the third quarter in Cornelius' first start, and they were tied at 16 in the fourth quarter when they played a couple of weeks ago, and Aaron Grimes dropped a clear pick 6, and Winnipeg literally on the next play went deep and then punched it in 2 plays later, and it was game over. So I can see why they've been frustrated with some of the ways they've shot themselves in the foot so far this year. But it's going to be a tough road down the stretch here for sure.
And that's what Coach O mentioned it this week too, where he said they're not out of game. They're in almost every game they play. They're not getting blown out of the water. And for the Ticats, that's been their Achilles heel, is letting teams hang around, letting teams stick around, and getting bit in the butt later. How do you see this game going down? It's the Ticats' first kind of cold weather game in a long time. I'm not sure how that'll play into it at all. But what are you expecting to see tomorrow night in Edmonton at Commonwealth there?
Well, the Elks defense is a little banged up. They're going to be missing a couple of pretty good pass rushers in this game. So, but I don't think we're going to see. I mean, this is easy to say because we haven't seen many of them in the Canadian Football League this year. I don't think we're going to see a 37-30 ball game. With that being said, my picks for betting in the Canadian Football League this year have been awful. So don't listen to anything that I'm going to say. But I do think we'll see a pretty close football game. I mean, the Elks still haven't won at home this year, and I think they're just below that middle group. Like, you got Winnipeg up here, and then you kind of got Ottawa and Edmonton down here, and Ottawa beat Edmonton twice, which is just an awful look for the Elks. But I do view Edmonton a little bit above Ottawa, and I think they're just below the rest of that tier. Like, they can beat Calgary. They beat Calgary this year. They get the Riders twice coming up. I think they could take one from them, if things go right. So I see them sort of at the bottom of that middle chunk of teams. So I think they could put up a pretty good fight, but I also think the Ticats may start trending in the right direction here. So I think the Ticats probably win a close one, but we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, you prefaced it with saying your betting lines have been awful in the CFL this season, so I'm not sure how much to make of that one.
It's gonna be 40-37, which I'll be okay with, because that would be a great game to call, man.
A great game to call. First of all, does Lieutenant Eric still think he's staying on my couch for Grey Cup week? I know it's scaled down. The spirit of Edmonton's still happening, so I don't know what you guys are saying, but let Lieutenant Eric know tomorrow that the couch is still his to claim if he's coming down here for the Grey Cup. If
he does end up there, he's not even kidding. He will be on your couch, man. So
I believe it. Dustin, thanks so much for doing this, man. Always great to catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
That is Dustin Nielson from the CFL on TSN and one half of the Dustin Nielson Show on TSN 1290 in Edmonton. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for joining us throughout the week. Tomorrow, I'll be back for Tiger Cats pregame with Andy Fantuz starting at 8:45. But we have a brand new show. It's called Ticats Game Day. It'll be dropping tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, I'll look for a setup for tomorrow night's broadcast. So very much looking forward to that brand new show here on the Ticats Audio Network. Again, thanks for checking us out this week. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any comments or feedback or questions, hit me up on Twitter at @LouieB_TV. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And make sure to join us tomorrow night when the Ticats take on the Elks from Edmonton, 8:45 pregame, 9:45. RJ and Luke will have the call. We will talk to you then. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. For the Ticats Audio Network, I'm Louie B. Hoping you have a great day.
Ticats Today with Louie B. Subscribe, like, and get your Ticats fix every weekday.